So we are excited to have Carrie Morgrige, Vice President of the Morgrige Family Foundation, with us. Carrie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Well, Carrie, you have been in the business of philanthropy for a while now, and we just really want to talk about what is the future of philanthropy.
So at Morgrige Family Foundation, we did a report with Sparks and Honey out of New York City, and we looked at what is the future of giving. We looked at 25 million data points. And what that showed us is that when you give a $5, a $10, a $20, but you do it with thousands of people, you are making huge differences in lives. And what we learned is that we're going to lean in heavier with our partners. We're going to get more creative about giving, and we're going to give more often in smaller amounts to actually make a bigger difference.
Mm-hmm. And when you say creative about giving, you talked about a report in your TED Talk that what are other creative ways of giving? You mentioned a giving circle.
Yes,
a giving circle.
Impact 100 is one of my absolutely favorite charities, and it's also about women empowerment. So I don't know how many women you know that can give $100,000 check, but the Impact 100 model is that 100 women give $1,000, and collectively they make the decision to give away $100,000 that should be transformational in their community. And then they have 5 pillars. So the perfect club is actually 500 members. And what's been so fascinating is some of the clubs are starting to exceed that. And so in Pensacola, 1,166 women are part of their club.
Wow.
So these women are the force of the city, and they give away 11 $100,000 impact grants in their community each and every year. So they have what's called the $1 Million Day every year. The other thing that we're really looking at, and it's not creative, it's almost like common sense, right? Isn't this common sense that we all get together and we pull our money? But at Impact 100, they started in 2002. So collectively, as sisters, we've given away $100 million this year.
That is awesome.
That's impact. But it's not based on one family. It's not based on just one couple. It is based on all of us uniting. And that's what I loved about it, because Impact 100 is inclusive. Giving's inclusive. Everyone's invited to give. Everyone's invited to give away money. So we have to start celebrating what does work. We are embracing Gen Z for the future. And if you really want to look at our report, P.S., it's for free on our website called The Future of Giving at Morgrige Family Foundation. And it's free. It's our gift to you. It's our gift to the world. But it's been really helping, like the United Way boards, the museum boards, for people to really understand. If you don't understand Gen Z, put them on your board. Start a advisory board, start a council, do something with these young kids now, get them involved, because the more kids get involved with your organization of whatever the cause is, the more they're going to help both ways. We need them and they need us.
Absolutely. How are nonprofits best positioning themselves not to just be these 10-cup 501c3s, give me money?
You are asking such a brilliant question. So how we're advising nonprofits not only is to have a Gen Z board, but what are you doing with technology? Everything you're talking about is a technology play. So because technology is the equalizer. Mm-hmm. If we're all allowed to vote with our tech, if we're all allowed to order with our tech, if we're all allowed to use technology more often than not, we're leveling the playing field for everybody to have a seat at the table. Mm-hmm. And so we've been advising many more people, and especially in the nonprofit world, 2 things. One, you have to start using technology that attracts your Gen Zs, that attracts your millennials. They're going to give differently. And number 2, well, this is a 3-part. Give me 3 parts. So the second part is use your data. what we're seeing in the nonprofit world is that so many of our nonprofits are sitting on silos and silos and silos of data. How many people have you helped? How many families have you gotten off of food stamps? You know, how many parents are now self-sufficient? How many kids have gone on to graduate college? You know, Habitat for Humanity has unbelievable numbers. They're at 94%. If you can get into a home, your child is going to graduate college.
Wow.
I mean, those are great numbers. So if you have that great data, part 3 comes back to our millennials and our Gen Zs. How do you couple storytelling? How do you couple doing this and sharing out what you're doing with your data? Imagine the heartstrings that I would constantly pull at, and especially shot from a millennial's point of view, if we were showing a Habitat family, what they went through and how they succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
And we could do that in 2 minutes, right? Did you know that these kids, we're down to 8 seconds? You got to share your story with your 14-year-old. You have 8 seconds or they are gone.
That's true. That is so true.
If you email a millennial or a Gen Z, good luck. Let me know how that works for you.
that is true.
These are facts.
This is
And
true.
so, to that point, our nonprofits haven't even caught up with that.
Mm-hmm.
So what's their TikTok? What's their play on Snapchat?
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is terms they have to come to grips with, but these are tools that could advance nonprofits that they're not using because their board doesn't look like us.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually older than us.
Yeah, that is true. That's true. And that's what I was going to say. So how are you encouraging, and how do you encourage boards to, when they're reaching out to the Gen Zs, when they're reaching out to these Gen Zs, to how do you encourage them to, because some people our age and older don't like change, and they don't want to do the technology, or they think it's too cumbersome or it's too hard to learn. But for Gen Zers, it's very easy. They're born with it. My daughter can fix my phone in 2 seconds. How do you encourage those older, or those boards, or those organizations to learn and to advance themselves in learning how to connect?
And are they being receptive?
And are they being receptive to it?
So the good ones are being receptives.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that aren't being receptive will no longer be in existence. And there are the ones who are receptive that are going to accelerate and exceed all expectations. So the more you and I can talk about this and share out with communities, you have got to change. You have got to add Gen Zs to your board, the more successful they're going to be. So that's what this is all about, is how do we get them to be successful?
That's awesome.
That is complete wisdom, Carrie Morgrige. We so appreciate that. And actually, even as we know that this is true, we have organizations in our banner of work that we must have Gen Z in the conversun. We are a communications firm,
right?
And we have to. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking like we run a communications firm.
Exactly.
We have to have
Gen Zers.
Yes.
Gen Zers in the conversation.
Well, it's perfect to start with your own children. And it's also perfect to think about hosting an intern. And maybe you do a monthly internship between the ages of 14 and 18. Imagine already being able to put on your resume before you go off to college that you had an internship with great success at a communications company.
Yeah.
And so we've got to be able to trust them. They're not going to hurt our brand, because you're not going to pull the trigger, and you're not going to allow that to happen. It's not going to hurt your brand.
Right. And we look to college students and graduate students.
They're too old.
They're too old.
You're right.
They are
They're
too old. We need to. So you have completely rocked our world and changed.
And we so appreciate it, because we have to look at it a lot differently. You're right.
So Carrie, thank you so much. We really are definitely going to download the report, and we appreciate you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Have a beautiful day.